So still now in service-oriented architecture, we have come across. We have seen a complete introduction on SOA related with the cloud computing. How the building blocks of SOA is going to serve for cloud computing. Introduction to XML and various technologies related with the XML we are seeing in the regular sessions. So we have seen XML schema, XML namespace, so XSD, XSL, XSLT. Okay, so likewise we are seeing varieties of technologies which are ready to enhance and build a web application or mobile application which would be capable of creating a lightweight component or a lightweight application for the portable devices. So that could be the very big impressive note from XML technologies. Okay, so to revise all those things in terms of evaluation, we will have MCQs now. It's a recap session. So type your answers in the chat, the responses. I am expecting responses from all of you. So type your options. So if your XSLT style sheet is version 2.0, which transformation engine should you use? Right. So apart from the lecture, what we are teaching, you have to still brew up yourself to learn about this. Yes. Options. Are expecting options in the chat. Saxon is the parser actually. That's built in all of our browsers. So XSLT, yesterday we have seen extensible style sheet language. XSLT is the processor which is embedding formatting inside the XML document. That is the purpose of that XSLT. Okay, so no answers. So ultimately, Saxon 9 or above. That could be the answer for this. So here we have given a namespace. What this namespace conveys? That is the ultimate question. What is the namespace conveys? Elements in the input are expected to be XHTML elements. So I can't find anything related to XHTML over there. Elements in the input XML are expected to be TEI elements. Yes, I could able to find out something related to the website in TEI. Elements in the output are expected to be TEI elements. I could able to find something related to TEI in the namespace. Elements in the output are expected to be XHTML elements. I don't find anything related to XHTML. So option A and D are ruled out. Now you have to choose from either B or C. From either B or C. So either it is the input or output that you have to decide. Option for question number 2. Still, I'm not getting any answers from the crowd. Why? See, you have to respond something through the chat. These MCQs will stretch you for your weekly tests also. These MCQs will help you to revise. So what you have learned in the last session, that can be identified here. So what could be the option for this? No options. So the answer is B, because in the input statement only we will be giving this namespace. Okay. Output will be generated based upon our XSLT. So that is the reason why elements in the input XML are expected to be TEI elements. Question number 3. The same type of convention. Here we have given a namespace. So you have to identify the suitable one here. So ultimately here I can't find anything related to TEI. So option C and D are ruled out. So you have to identify based upon XHTML, because I could able to find something in the namespace relevant to XHTML. So you need to identify whether it is based on input or output. That's the thing that you need to guess with. Option A or B for question number 3. So still no answers. I think you got upset on something that you could not able to respond for any answers. At least you can have some guesses. No. Okay, fine. So the option would be elements in the output are expected to be XHTML elements. So what's the difference between these two things? The question number 2 and 3. In the previous question, you could able to vouch that we are talking about the default namespace. Here we are talking about the direct namespace. So that is the main difference. That is the reason why default namespace will be used with the input data. Okay, very specific things has to be integrated during the output only. So that is the difference between the transformation happening. So when XSLT is being involved over there, transformation will be happening during the input as well as during the output. Input can be identified using the default namespace, and output can be identified using the normal declaration of the namespace. XSL template elements can be nested inside each other. So nesting is possible or not in XSL template. Yesterday we have seen a list of programs on that. If you have gone through the program, you could be able to answer this. XSL template. So true or false? No answers. It would be false always. Okay, because I could be able to apply one template for one tag only, or one attribute only, or for one user defined tag only, right? I could not be able to nest each other. That is the reason why we are having two entries here, because for using the match XSL template match, I'll be using within double quotes slash. Slash represents it is going to apply for throughout the document. If I'm going to specify within any tag instead of slash, I could be able to give any specific tag. So for the tag only it will apply. So we have seen both the cases of outputs in the study session. All those things are sequential only. Nothing will be nested. Okay. So that's the reason why it would be false. So here we have given what does this instruction mean? What does this code is doing? XSL colon apply hyphen templates. Yesterday we have seen apply templates, right? Select equal to double slash div. Okay, double slash div. So what could be the answer? What is the purpose of double slash also, right? So some people have talked about escape sequences. So the same thing is being applied over there. So what it will do, it means find all the developments which are children of current context node and process them according to any applicable templates. Or this is a template that should contain instructions for how to render a div element, as well as find all the div elements in the document and process them according to any applicable templates. Okay, any applicable templates. So what could be the answer? Does anybody that is ready to respond? I could find no one is responding for this. Okay, I think if people are upset on something. I don't want to revive you. So this could be the answer. Okay. So what we are going to work with today's concept. What is XPath? So while we are talking about XSL, if you want to learn about XPath, we should be very good with the XSL. That is the idea behind this. This XPath and XSL is going to relate using the same syntaxes whatever we have followed in XSL. The places where we are going to use operators, functions, only it is going to differ. Whatever we have seen in the yesterday's program, most of the components are having XPath related entries. So that you are going to see today. So ultimately, what is the purpose of XPath? The term path. So it is ready to help us to traverse the XML document, to traverse all the elements and what are the corresponding values of the tag elements and what are the values of the attributes present in the tag. All those things, they will help us. So how XPath is being framed using XCORY and the XSLT. Okay, XCORY we will see in the next session, because most of your XPath demonstrations will rely on XSLT only. Okay, so XCORY we will be using some sort of expressions. So those expressions also I have given a simple example, but that can be understood once you are going to learn about XCORY. So XPath is the combination of XCORY and the XSLT. Nothing but if I need to write a program for XPath, I have to incorporate both XCORY and XSLT. Without that, the XPath program could not be complete. Again, I will be telling you, XPath programs don't have any specific extensions. There will be a XML file, file name.xml. There will be a XSL file. Okay, XSL file. It consists of formatting, or it consists of some searching, or it consists of identifying a particular node. Okay, so again XSLT will combine these two things. It is ready to generate a particular data, or what is the particular data I want to visit, that could be able to be identified. So program structure will be like this only. So first program you have a XML program, second program you have a XSL program only, what we have seen yesterday. Okay, by these two entities we could be able to understand what XPath is ready to coin. Okay, so that is the reason why that XPath is given as the intersection of XCORY and the XSLT. Already we have seen XSLT in a wider way through yesterday's session. So what are all the features that XPath will derive us? Okay, so it will give us the proper structure actually. In XSL program that you could able to identify the proper structure. So initially you have to give the version, next you have to give the namespace. After giving the namespace, I will do formatting or designing the browser content through HTML. After completing HTML, I will apply XSL constructs for traversing the XML elements. So likewise, I could able to give a proper structure for the program. Next, it provides path expression. Path expression means how I will access the corresponding tag, or how I will access the corresponding element. So in the previous technologies, while we are running with the DOM and the parser, I could able to use for some lengthy methods or some lengthy tags. But here I could able to access it using the same tag name itself. So that's going to be involved in the expression. So XPath is ultimate component of XSLT that we have seen in the previous entries itself, as well as XPath is ready to provide us some standard functions. Okay, so what could be a standard function? For example, I could able to access a node by mentioning its position. Okay, how you are accessing or deleting a particular character in a string. So likewise in Java. So I want to print, for example, Abdul Kalam. So I want to print starting from Kalam. Starting from K, I am going to print Kalam. So Abdul Kalam is a complete string, but how I will use that? So using substring method, I could able to perform the particular operation. Likewise, we have some standard functions are available in XPath also. Okay, so that's the idea behind this. Right. How to create a XPath expression. Right. So yesterday we have seen that, but that could be done with the operators. So books is the root tag. So within the books I have record for book. Okay, so book is your complete data. Okay, so for every book you have a title, that is a subchild of corresponding book. Next, author. For every book you have an author. The author will have first name and last name. First name and last name are subchilds of author. Author is the subchild of book. So if I want to access the name of the author, so how I will traverse? So books dot book dot author dot first name. So likewise, I could able to traverse and access it in a easier way. That's what that XPath expression will provide through its operators and functions. Okay, so that's the procedure to write your expression. That is the reason why this diagram has been given for you. Okay, so that's the way to access. So root tag dot child tag dot subchild tag, that will retrieve you the element, corresponding element available within the subchild tag. Okay, so that's a way to work with. Next, XPath nodes. What all these nodes are talking about that? So these are all the this 7 important thing that you must be aware while you are going to work with a XSL, XPath and the XQuery. For all those 3 things, these are the things which will serve for us. Element, it is going to identify your corresponding tag. Attribute, it is ready to reveal the property of the element what you are going to use in your program. For example, pertaining to the previous diagram, I could able to convey about that. So every book will have an ID, right? Book ID. When you are going to lend a book from the library, every book will have an ID. That ID could be the attribute for that. Text. So text is nothing but that what is the value available in the respective tag. Namespace. Okay, so namespace will give us the default directory from where I will fetch the style or where I will fetch the schema for my program. So that is what namespace. Next, processing instruction. So we are going to see what is a processing instruction is. For example, how I will access the third record's first data. So how it could be done. So for that we have built-in methods are available in our XPath. Okay. So comment. So comment already we have seen in terms of XML itself. So document nodes. So this is nothing but they are trying to incorporate the flavor of DOM in XML technologies. Okay. So we will see it in the forthcoming slides. So XPath syntax. To understand XPath syntax, so here you have a sample XML program. Okay, so based upon this program only, I have given you something on the diagram. So you have a root tag bookstore. So bookstore consists of 2 books. Okay, so every book has its own title and the price. So these are all the content of the corresponding XPath, corresponding program. Okay, so bookstore is the root tag. You have 2 records of book. So how we are going to play with this? See, what are all the selecting nodes? How could they able to select? Okay, by mentioning the node name. Node name is nothing but the tag name. Okay, so if I want to select from the root, I have to use the slash operator, single slash operator that represents my root. If I want to represent my corresponding subchild, in that case, I could able to mention the double slash. Very specific things that you could able to do. Even in today's MCQ, I have shown you double slash div. So what are all the things you are given within div tag that could be go for processing. So double slash can be expressed in terms of your escape sequence also. Okay, single dot which will work for current node. Okay, double dot will work for parent of current node. That's what I have shown you. Books dot book dot price. Okay, so single dot means it will talk about only the current node. Double dot means it will ready to retrieve me the corresponding parent node. Okay, at. So whenever I am going to work with my attribute of any particular tag, for example, book will have an ID. So book within angle bracket I will give book ID equal to within double quotes 001. So that 001 will be fetched using this at. Okay, so that is the purpose of this at tag. So the same thing I have mentioned you through the example bookstore, right? So for this example, these notes are being done for you. Okay. So bookstore. So bookstore means what are all the things are available inside the bookstore I could able to access. So what are available under bookstore? I'll be getting 2 records of book. Okay. So bookstore is enough to fetch the data available in all the books. So that's what they are going to mention here. Next, slash bookstore. Okay. So it is ready to represent the absolute path. Okay, it is ready to represent the absolute path. Next, bookstore slash book, that is ready to represent the first record of the corresponding bookstore. Okay, next, slash slash book. So wherever the content is available in the corresponding document will be fetched instead of first record or second record. It is ready to fetch for that. So if I want to display everything, okay, if I want to display everything, I could able to use this bookstore / book. Bookstore and bookstore / book will work in will work in the same fashion. But when more number of child tags are going to be available, so bookstore and bookstore / book will differ. Okay, so that is the main difference between the way of using / for root tag with a child tag. So / at lang, it is ready to retrieve me the attribute. So lang means it is ready to retrieve me the English en. Okay, so that will retrieve that corresponding value. Okay, so that's the idea behind these expressions. So remember these thing that could be used along with all the functions and operators what we will discuss in a XPath. Okay, so that is the idea on this. So the same thing that what we have seen in yesterday's session, which is going to be complete idea how to work with the predicates. Okay, predicates. So predicates are nothing but that it is ready to give me a query in short fashion. That is what predicate, that what we are going to work with. So please remember that predicate is nothing but that what we are going to work with. Okay, so please remember that predicate is nothing but, so for example in SQL or RDBMS that you will supply some query. For example, select star from some particular table name where I am going to give you a complete constraint, or I could able to give you a nested query. Okay, such type of things are being shortened using the terminology predicate. Okay, so that's a interesting nature of the predicate. Okay, see the first predicate, they are ready to retrieve the first record. Okay, they are ready to retrieve the first record. So what is that first record? They are ready to retrieve book of 1. Okay, so the first record could be fetched based upon that. So the child's corresponding data will be retrieved. Okay, so and you could able to see some methods here. Bookstore / book of last. So what is the last child in the bookstore related to that? That will be fetched under the tag book. Okay, so last -1. So what it represents? Last -1. It is ready to remember with the last but previous. Okay, the last but previous. Okay, that is, it is ready to retrieve. And I could able to see, I could able to employ relational operators also here. Okay, so I have used less than 3 based upon the method position. Okay, it is ready to retrieve me first 2 book elements less than 3. If I am going to give less than 5, it is ready to retrieve me first 4 records from the book. Okay, so such a interesting note that we could able to move further. Okay, so likewise you could able to traverse over on that. So next one is that we are going to work with the specific tag on title, that is it is ready to retrieve what are all the elements which are having @lang attribute will be retrieved. I have not specified on any language over there. Simply I have specified the attribute name. I have not mentioned any value over there. So what's happening in that aspect? It is ready to work with particular attribute as well as attributes values also. If you check the subsequent one, at lang equal to within single quotes en. Okay, so it is ready to execute for different languages also, for different attributes also. That means, for example, you have a book for Tamil, you have a book list for English, you have a book list for Malayalam. In that case, if I am going to specify this language, only those related entities will be retrieved. Okay, so that is the major advantage when we are going to work with the predicates. No need to write a very long query for this. Okay, so if we want to select based upon the relational operators, so in the fourth one you could able to see I am going to play with the corresponding data structure itself. Position, it is going to work with the data structure of the XML document, but to play directly with the tag, the last but one will help us. So price greater than 100. Now you could able to understand the powerfulness of XML here. XML is nothing but semanticness. The user defined tags data is ready to give over. Okay, what is the meaning of price? That should be understood by the XML program itself. That is the reason why it is ready to retrieve price which are greater than 100. Okay, so that is the role of XML here. It will understand what every tag is doing. That is the reason why XML is a semantic language. Okay, so that's the thing that I want to retrieve over here. If you could see the last one, there for the same condition we have incorporated the title. So I want to retrieve only the title that can be given using /title. What are all the title which are ready to come across this constraint? Only those things will be retrieved. Okay, so simply list the books which are having a price which are greater than 100. That will be listed over there. That's something interesting that we need to move forward. Okay, so that's the idea regarding this predicates. Next, what are all the things that we need to work with? Unknown nodes. Unknown nodes means anything that we could able to ready to retrieve. Even in predicates we have seen some of the things. For example, the last two entities which is ready to work for the particular condition. If the same thing I could able to revoke for complete document, that can be achieved through these three things. First section, you see the wildcard. So remember the wildcard characters in the XPath or XML. Star, it is ready to match any element. At star, it is ready to match any attribute. So element means book, I could able to refer the tag. So at star means it will refer that ID, book ID, or in the particular program that you could able to see language, that corresponding lang is the attribute which could be have the values en, right? I could able to find out. Node represents it is ready to match any particular tag. Okay, so that's what wildcard characters available in this XPath. So please remember this. Okay, so I could able to touch it over. Only 44 students are there in the session. I don't know why. So how could I able to create expression based upon that? Okay, so if I need to fetch all the elements from the bookstore, it's enough to supply this command /bookstore/star. Okay, that's a simple idea to retrieve the child elements of the bookstore. /star, it will select all the elements and it will list. Okay, /title at star, what are all the attribute elements that what you are going to refer for title only retrieve. Okay, so that could be the expression. The same way that we could able to retrieve for this. So selects all the title and the price elements of all the book elements. So what it is going to retrieve for all the books, it is going to convey title and the price. That's all. Okay. So likewise, in general, without mentioning any tag, even I could able to retrieve. Within this tag only, title and price are available. Even without mentioning the immediate parent, I could able to retrieve /title /price. That should be separated by the corresponding pipe operator. That is also possible. So even I could able to retrieve, select all the titles of the book element and all the price elements in the document. That's also being done through these types of possibilities. What's the difference between first one and last one, right? Filtering will vary, that's all. Which filter that it need to work first. So here the filter is going to work for the corresponding bookstore element, then it will work for book, then it will fetch all the title elements. After completing this, it will go for printing the price elements. Okay, so there it won't be like that. Directly it is going to work with the title and price elements parallelly. So that's the idea that we want to stretch it here. Right, now we are in a stage to understand, because through the tags. In yesterday's session, we have seen this code, but we have not known whether it is XPath or not. From today's session, we could able to understand that. What I have marked in red color is an absolute path. I could able to reach it very easily. Okay, so remember the employee.xml program. For employee, these are all the fields are available for every employee. Okay, for every employee, these are all the records are available. So employee will be identified using that ID only. So employee will have these tags: first name, last name, nickname, and salary. So /class/ employee of one, that particular node only we are accessing. Okay. For example, it represents I am ready to retrieve the record of the first employee. That's all. Okay. So for that I am giving this path as it is directly /class/employee of one. Okay, employee of one. That is what the place absolute is speaking, right? So that is the idea that I want to give you over here. This is the way to represent the absolute path. Root tag / child tag of corresponding child position / attribute or tag, whatever that you are ready to give. Okay. What is meant by relative path? Okay, relative path means in the for each section itself, I will give the root tag and child tag. By that, it will retrieve all those things on its own. So in the absolute path, you have to give individually for all the elements. But here it is enough to give it for only one construct. It is enough to give it in the XSL construct itself. It will retrieve for each and every record automatically. Okay. So while we are going to work with a lesser number of records, it is good to work with the absolute path. While we are going to work with a cumulative very big database, it is advisable to work with the relative path. That is the usage and the difference of working with the relative path. Okay. So when we are going to work with the secured applications, okay, secure process engineering, in that cases we could be able to employ the relative path only, right? These are all the built-in methods available in XPath access. That is the term very, very important. Access. Okay. So in JavaScript document object model, these things are available nowadays, because some of the recent flavors of JavaScript are that is being sandwiched with Node, Reactive. Okay. So the Reset scripting engine is ready to allow the document object model on these things also. Okay. So these are all some built-in content which is ready to retrieve the same tag and the data. That's all. So these things are not available in DOM. That is a very big problem in those days. While XML is being invented, they did all those things. By seeing this XML, again people are incorporating those things in the DOM engine nowadays. That's what making your flavors of different JavaScripts is being easy for this. Okay. ancestor or self, they are talking about root tags. Attribute, we know that. Child, so descendant is nothing but that what is a current node, one level up. That's one. Okay, I could able to use self nodes also. What are the nodes will come after this particular node following. So immediate following node can be identified using following sibling. So namespace will ready to fetch me the current node. Parent will tell me the root tag. So preceding node will list out all the tags which are available except the start and the end element. Okay. Self, which is ready to point towards the correct node, right? So these are all the XPath access that we could able to use it in the program. Okay. So this is a sample XML program that what we will be using already. So what could be the version that I need to use here? See that, see the corresponding thing. Preceding hyphen sibling operator I have used scope resolution operator colon. So comment of, so corresponding. So I have used this method just to remember preceding hyphen sibling colon comment, as well as, so what I am going to select within this class and employee, I am going to refer the sibling of the preceding one comment. So what I am going to work for the tag, this could be the given function. For which tag I need to work on this? For the tag child, employee's child, what you need to fetch? You have to fetch the first name. Child will be mapped with the preceding hyphen sibling. First name will be mapped with the comment. For the corresponding tag class employee. So what it will reply? It will ready to respond with the Abhiram. You could able to see here, right? The first name of the corresponding employee will be retrieved using this built-in functions. Here I have not used any corresponding predicate. I have used only simple expressions. Okay, the built-in access available on that. Okay, so what I have used? Preceding hyphen sibling colon comment. Okay, so that could be the complete idea on this section. XPath operators. So these are all operators which are ready to support. Already we have seen these operators in yesterday's session itself using our XSL. So what we have did here, see that XPath comparison operator, how it will work. So yesterday we have seen in the XSL if statement, we have used the test condition salary greater than 25,000. Okay, so greater than, I have used a comparison operator here. Only relevant to that data, tags will be retrieved. Okay, so that's a comparison operator. Boolean operator. So here Boolean operator that you could able to observe over that, I have used R. Okay, I have used R. So records of ID1 as well as records of ID3. So either of these things are being ready to be retrieved. That's what R operator is being used. So likewise, I could be able to work for all types of Boolean operator. It is also applicable. So how I am using the expression, that should be inscribed within the square bracket. So please remember that. So when I am going to give more than one ID, it should be inscribed within the parenthesis. That's a very simple notation that you could be able to remember and write it in the paper. Okay. So number operators. So div, see, actually the division operator slash is being used for tag purposes in XML. That is the reason why the division operator is div. That is the reason why I have took only that operator and I have mentioned this. What is the value available in salary divided by 25,000? If the value is greater than 1, it will print high. That means it will ready to add one node. Yesterday we have seen in the program, right? It is ready to create one more column or create one more node. That is also possible, right? In that section we have seen this example. Here the stress is there is no slash operator for division in XPath. We have div. Please remember that. That is the reason why I want to stretch it here. So these are all the string functions that we could be able to use. So starts with the contains substring. Whatever that we are using in Java, everything is being supportable over there. So see here, concat of first name, comma last name, what I have given over there. As well as I am ready to measure the length of the string. So in the for all employees, I am going to do string concatenation as well as I am going to find the length of each and individual string. So I have combined first name and last name and I have measured the length of the name also. That's what being done through this built-in functions. Concat of two tag names, first name comma last name, string length of the result of concat is being passed over there. That's the idea behind this program, right? So these are all the node functions already we have seen in the first slides itself. So this also we have seen in the predicates, node, position, comment, everything. So to understand about that, I have given you. So I could be able to find out the position of all the corresponding tags. So there totally 4 records are there in the employee. All the employee records are being retrieved using 1, 2, 3, 4. You could be able to see the ID values being available over there. Serial number is ready to fetch over through the method position. First record, second record, third record, fourth record. Okay, so that could be fetched over through the position method. Okay, so that's the idea on this. So if you have any clarifications, you could be able to post it in the chat window.